Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'm rapidly approaching the 900 mark on my vlogs. An amazing sort of outcome. I just can't believe that I've been able to stick to it for so long. But I know that there are very, very few people who would have the commitment and the drive to be able to generate 4 or 3 vlogs a day, every day, throughout an annual period to get to where I am today. So I'm pretty proud of my efforts. As you can see, it's a wet old day here in Sydney. It was raining yesterday, it's raining today. So what I'll do is I'll go down there to wharf number 6 and get out of the elements because I don't want to get my notes wet. And today's book summary is entitled Habits of a Happy Brain by Loretta Breuning. And how beautiful are these colours. You can see that thick cloud and fogginess. It's very, very low hanging on the harbour bridge, and it's almost glowing. So it is a beautiful sight. But I guess we need our dry days, we need our sunny days, but we also need our wet days in order to make autumn productive and service. So let's go on our walk and talk and see where this book takes us. But it is one of my favourite topics. The topic of the brain and how the brain works, and I guess we all can benefit by knowing how this wonderful instrument, how this wonderful organ that serves us and serves all of those around us operates, so that we can leverage it and make the most of it. So the author kicks off the book with an interesting quote where she says that you can increase your pleasure if you're willing to do the things that don't feel good at first. A powerful message, and it's a good one for the young people, the young audience who may be listening to this vlog, because we're always tempted to want to do the things that make us feel good initially, so that that appetite for instant gratification is not always going to lead us to where we want to be in terms of being satisfied and fulfilled. So what the author is saying is that it's great. You can increase your pleasure immensely by multiple ways and multiple levels, but you need to be able to embrace and do the things that don't feel good at first. Wow, I like that. But how do you get people? How do you get people to see the light? How do you get people to get over the hump of automatic and quick self-gratification? Because it takes an effort, and most people don't want to put in the investment to reap the rewards. So what the author then goes on to talk about here is the fact that our brains are basically a chemical factory, and we've got chemicals that make us feel good, and we've also got chemicals that stress us out and I guess make us feel not as good as what we normally feel. So the chemicals that make you happy are equally as important as the ones that make us unhappy, I guess, is one way of looking at it, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to achieve a balance, and the chemicals that we have in our bodies, in our minds, in our brains are there for a purpose. and that purpose, I guess, varies. But it's important to understand how it works. So what sort of chemicals do we have in our brains that help us be and do the things that we do? We've got a chemical called oxytocin, which rewards us for being social. It makes you feel good through connection. So when you connect with somebody, oxytocin is generated. And it's a sort of hormone, it's a sort of chemical that is created during sexual engagement. It's generated when a mother has a baby, and it encourages the mother to connect with that baby. And that's why, a mother will always see a baby as being the most beautiful baby in the world, regardless of how it looks, because it's the oxytocin that rewards her and forces her to connect with that child. We've got other chemicals such as dopamine, which is secreted and is a reward for us doing things. So we get stimulated by this hormone and this drug, and it keeps us coming back for more rewards. And we also have got endorphins, which are 100 times more powerful than the drugs and the pain-killing drugs. And they're the things that help us push through physical pain in order to get things done. And there are people who run marathons who absolutely enjoy running marathons, and the reason why they enjoy it is because they've got these endorphins being generated, which kill the pain, numb the pain, and just make them feel euphoric and very, very good. So we've got all these pleasure chemicals, pleasure hormones that the body is able to secrete, and of course different people secrete different levels of hormones and amounts of hormones, and that's why genetically some people are gifted, because their bodies are able to give them a lot more of these pleasure hormones to get them connected, to get them to overcome pain, and to push and drive them to their goals. So as I said, some people are absolutely gifted with these hormones, so it's important to understand that genetically these things are don't come in equal amounts to each person. So the unhappy hormones, if you can call them that, are the ones such as cortisol. So when you're hungry, for example, cortisol goes into your bloodstream, is released, and it's a stress hormone, and it makes you feel uncomfortable. But it makes you feel uncomfortable for a reason. It makes you feel uncomfortable so that you can get active, so you can do something. So you're agitated for a reason, in order to act and to do whatever you need to do, to find food or to find comfort. So cortisol gets you to do something, gets you into that I need to do something feeling when you feel threatened. So once again, it's there to protect you. Those unhappy hormones are there to protect you from danger, and it's a carry-on from thousands of years ago when we were developing and we were surrounded by lions, tigers and bears and lots of threats on our lives. But our lives today, the world today, isn't as threatening as what it once was. But interestingly, the brain doesn't really know the difference. So you can create your own fears, your own threats through your misguided thinking, through misinformation, and stimulate the cortisol hit in your body, which will keep you anxious and agitated. And what the scientists have been able to replicate through their studies is that the neocortex, the new part of your brain, when they do scans on the neocortex and analyze it, they can see that depending on your thoughts will generate certain chemical reactions and responses in your body, because you're constantly looking for risks. But those risks, as we've learnt time and time again, tend to be overstimulated and overreacted. So the next point in this book that the author teaches us is that this whole concept of happiness is folly to a certain extent, because there is nothing in this world that will keep making you happy forever. There's a limit to how happy you can become and how happy you can remain. So this misguided thought that one day I'll retire and be happy, or one day I'll win lotto and have all the money in the world and be in a constant state of happiness is bullshit. Because what it does is you'll get a spike in your happiness, but then you'll return, as we know, to your level of happiness that you were before. So we've all got a baseline. We've all got an equilibrium level of happiness that we've been able to inherit from our parents, inherit from our genes, learn through our experiences while growing up. That's why it's important for children and young people who are growing and developing to be as positive as possible and to look for the good in things around them, because by doing that they are influencing that baseline, that benchmark of happiness. And it's a decision. We all make a decision as to whether or not we're going to be miserable as people or we're going to be happy as people. Some people wake up every day and just have decided that they're going to be miserable and nothing's going to make them happy. But the key point to come out of this section of the book summary is that permanent happiness or bliss is a myth. Because what happens is that we're subject to a thing called habitualization, where we are most happy when experiences are new, different, and there's a limit to how many of these new and different experiences we can have in our lives, given that we're married, given that we're working, given that we are living in the same house for a number of years and that we can't travel, given that we're tired, you name it. There are so many things working against us in terms of looking for these new experiences. Because as we've learnt time and time again, that first kiss is mind-boggling. And second time round, it's still great, but it's not as great as the first time. And all of our experiences, yes, there are gifts that keep on gifting and giving, but the experience, the way we experience it, isn't, sadly, the same each time we experience it. So doing it again and again won't have the same effect, and it's in our nature. And that's why, for many reasons, we'll always be insatiable or unsatisfied, regardless. of how much God, the world, gives us, because we're ungrateful sort of beings. And as we said before, science, anecdotally as well, we find out that people who win lotto, people who get married to wonderful partners, a year from now are basically back to where they were a year before they met that person. As we said, we have a spike, we have a hump, we have a little uplift in terms of our happiness, but then sadly, or for some people, it's just important to understand that you go back to that level where you were before. So if you were a 7 out of 10 in terms of your happiness, you get married or you go on a holiday, you spike to a 10, sooner or later you'll go back to a 7. Now, if you're a 3, you'll spike to a 10, and sooner or later you'll go back to a 3. If you're a 7 and you have a unhappy experience, you have a death in the family, you'll fall back to a 3, but you'll bounce back to a 7 over time. And that's why they say that time is the greatest healer, because with time we get to go back to where we were in terms of our benchmark and baseline level of joy and happiness. So I guess there's an invitation for each and every one of us in order to live, learn and pass it on, and to enjoy our lives, and to keep on changing, keep on experimenting, and keep on pushing in our lives, because through that journey is where we gain the joy and the experience and the happiness, because we're meeting new people, we're doing new things, and we're just tickling that happiness monitor in our lives. So don't just stick and stay in a rut. Just keep on doing things, have goals, keep on pushing yourself, because it's your birthright. Your birthright is to keep on growing, to keep on developing, and to keep on doing things, rather than to be isolated, be alone, and to be miserable. And to understand that our lives, everybody's lives, is a series of constant choices. So it's important not to let others choose for you. This is a very, very important point for everybody, regardless of your age. Don't let others choose your course. Don't let others make choices for you, because otherwise you're going to be living a lie and you're going to be unhappy at some point in your life. Don't let your wife, don't let your husband, don't let your father, your mother, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunts, your boss, your work peers make choices for you. It's up to you to consider the choice, the consequences, and take the action that is going to lead you to your calling and to the direction you want to go in. Because the brain comes up with its own risks and fears. And we mustn't live, as we said time and time again on these 5 a.m. clubs, we mustn't live in fear, especially these self-imposed fears, because fear and anxiety and uncertainty are all the tools of Satan. If you're a Christian, if you're a believer, and you delegate all your problems to God and your dreams to God, and you work and you have values and you act on a constant basis, and you're not lazy, then you do have a chance to fulfill all of your dreams, and to have a life which you can look back and live with gratitude. So remembering that everything has a risk, everything in your life is a choice, and there's an opportunity cost and a consequence with everything. And we can't quite control our futures, we can't control everything, but we've got to have a crack, we've got to have a go, and who knows where our journey will take us. Because as the author says here, and I love this point, the only mistake that you can ever make in your life is not to choose anything at all. Because as humans, what we absolutely love is we love to have the autonomy and the ability to be in control of our growth, our development, and our destiny. Which brings us to the end of this powerful book summary. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode, and I wish you a happy Wednesday. Even though it looks like it's going to be overcast and wet, let's make the most of this unique day and try and pick out some of these hacks from the book entitled Habits of a Happy Brain by Loretta Breuning. And I'll finish off with a most positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and let's be the wind beneath our wings, the wave beneath our surfboards, the zephyr that billows our sails and flutters our flags. I can see the flags on the bridge there, the wind's coming from the southwest, and be the turbines, the propellers that churn the water and push our craft in the direction where we want to go and allow us to reach the destinations of our dreams. So I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message, a message of empowerment to help us get through the day, get through the morning, where we can live, learn, and pass it on, and enjoy our lives, where we can have shared experiences and live and learn from each other's ups and downs. Because we're all on a different path, we've had a different past, we're going to experience today a different present, and we're all going to live a different future. It's important for us to share the slithers of experience and to be grateful for what we have and to celebrate and give thanks for all that we have. Yasas, thank you very much, and I'll speak to you later from Jim's 5am Club. Filaka, and bye for now.